I visited my son on his first day working at his father-in-law's company. I found him on his knees on the bathroom floor, wearing yellow rubber gloves, scrubbing a toilet. His new suit still hung on the door hook. His father-in-law stood behind him laughing. That's the only job this idiot knows how to do. A business degree. 35 years of my sacrifice. All to watch my son be humiliated like an animal. I said nothing, fighting back my rage. I walked out and made a phone call. 3 weeks later, they were screaming in horror at what I did. This isn't a story about revenge. This is a story about the price of dignity. Before I tell you what happened next, drop a comment. Where are you watching this from? And what time is it right now? I want to know how far this story about a father's fight for dignity has traveled. The kitchen smelled like strong coffee and bacon grease. I stood at the stove flipping eggs while Caleb sat fidgeting with his tie navy blue, expensive a gift from Morgan, his wife. He belonged in boardrooms, now not our little kitchen with its chipped countertop. You want more coffee? I asked. No thanks, Dad. I'm jittery enough. He laughed nervously. I want to make you proud. Ashford Development is one of the biggest firms in San Antonio. I know it is. I slid the eggs onto his plate. And you earned this position. Don't let anyone tell you different. He nodded, but I saw the doubt flickering behind his eyes. Caleb had always been that way. Brilliant, hardworking, but carrying some invisible weight that made him question his worth. I'd spent 28 years trying to build him up brick by careful brick. Your mom would have been so proud, I said quietly. His throat worked. I wish she could have seen it. She can. I tapped my chest. Right here. We ate in comfortable silence after that, the kind that comes from years of being each other's only family. When Caleb stood to leave, I walked him to the door. He grabbed his briefcase and turned back. Thanks for everything, Dad. For the breakfast, for working double shifts to pay my tuition, for... Hey! I gripped his shoulder. That's what fathers do. Now get out of here before you're late. He grinned nervousness, disappearing for a moment. Then he was gone, backing down the driveway in his Honda. I stood on the porch, watching that uneasy feeling settling deeper into my bones. I tried to shake it off. Washed the dishes, changed into work clothes. But the feeling wouldn't leave. It sat in my chest like a stone. I picked up my phone 3 times to call him, then put it down. He was a grown man. He didn't need his old man hovering. But I couldn't concentrate on the bid I needed to submit or the crew schedule. Finally, around 11, I made a decision. I'd swing by Ashford Development, maybe bring Caleb some lunch, just to check in. The building sat downtown, all glass and steel, the kind that screamed money and power. I parked my dusty work truck between a Mercedes and a BMW, feeling suddenly out of place. The lobby was marble floors and cold air conditioning. A young woman at the reception desk looked up with a professional smile. Her nameplate read, Amanda Foster. Good morning, sir. How can I help you? I'm looking for my son, Caleb Walker. He started today. The smile froze. Her eyes widened and something passed across her face. Pity, fear. She glanced toward the elevators, then back to me. Oh, Mr. Walker, let me just check on that for you. And in that moment, my gut feeling crystallized into certainty. Something was very, very wrong. Amanda stood up from her desk, one hand reaching toward me. Mr. Walker, maybe you should wait. But I was already past her, moving toward the elevators. Behind me, I heard her pick up the phone, her voice low and urgent. The elevator ride to the 3rd floor felt endless. My son had a business degree. Why would he be in maintenance on his first day? The doors opened to a sterile hallway. I followed the signs until I found a utility corridor. Voices echoed ahead, laughter, male voices. One of them made my skin crawl. I rounded the corner and stopped. Through the half-open door, I saw my son on his knees in front of a toilet, wearing yellow rubber gloves that went up to his elbows. His suit jacket hung on a hook. His white shirt was damp with sweat. He held a scrub brush, shoulders hunched in a way that made him look broken. Standing over him was a man in his early 50s, silver hair perfectly styled, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my mortgage. 2 other men flanked him, smirking. This is the only service this idiot knows how to do. The silver-haired man's voice dripped with contempt. He's got a business degree and can't even scrub a toilet properly. The other men laughed. Then I saw her. Morgan stood off to the side in a designer dress, arms crossed. She wasn't laughing, but she wasn't stopping it either. The slight smile on her face made my stomach turn. Caleb looked up. Our eyes met. Time slowed down. Shame washed over his face. His eyes were red. He'd been crying. He tried to mouth something. Please, don't. I couldn't tell. But I understood. My boy was begging me not to see him like this. Something inside my chest cracked clean through. Can I help you? The silver-haired man turned toward me, irritated. I'm Caleb's father. His expression shifted to amusement. Ah, Mr. Walker. Your son is learning the business from the ground up. Literally. He gestured at the toilet, and his cronies chuckled. So this was Grayson Ashford. Caleb, I kept my voice steady. Get up. He's not finished. Grayson's voice sharpened. He's on company time. Every muscle in my body wanted to cross that room and put my fist through Grayson Ashford's perfect teeth. I'd spent 35 years swinging hammers. One punch. That's all it would take. But Caleb shook his head, just slightly. Don't make it worse. I forced my hands to unclench. We'll talk later, son. I looked at Grayson. You and I will talk too, Mr. Ashford. Grayson waved a dismissive hand. I'm a busy man. You'll make time. I walked back to the elevator before I did something I'd regret. The doors closed. I was alone. I pressed my palms against the cold metal walls and squeezed my eyes shut. No one gets to do this to my son. The lobby was a blur. Outside, the Texas sun hit me, but I felt cold. I sat in my truck hands, gripping the steering wheel. Then I pulled out my phone and dialed. Gerald, it's Jack Walker. I need your help. Something big. Jack, what's going on? You sound... I need you to investigate someone. Grayson Ashford. I want to know everything his company, his finances, his weaknesses. Everything. Gerald went quiet on the other end. We'd known each other 20 years. He knew I didn't ask for things like this lightly. How deep? He finally asked. As deep as it goes. Give me until tomorrow morning. I hung up and sat in my truck for another 10 minutes, staring at nothing. Then I drove home. The house felt too quiet. I paced the kitchen, trying to burn off the rage still simmering in my chest. On the mantel sat an old photo. Caleb at his college graduation cap and gown, that huge smile. Next to it, a picture of my wife, Maria, holding baby Caleb in her arms. I'd spent 28 years building my son up. 3 hours for Grayson Ashford to try to tear him down. Not just get Caleb out of there. That wasn't enough anymore. This required something bigger, something permanent. By 10 that night, I'd made my decision. I was sitting at the kitchen table when I heard a key in the lock. Caleb came through the door like a ghost, shoulders hunched, eyes down. The smell of cleaning chemicals clung to his clothes. When he saw me waiting, he tried to turn away, but I caught the red around his eyes. Come here, son. His face crumpled. Just like that 28 years old, and he was crying like he used to when he was 7, and scraped his knee. I stood up and pulled him into my arms. It's not your fault, I said into his hair. None of this is your fault. He shook against my chest. I'm sorry you had to see that, Dad. I'm so sorry. You've got nothing to apologize for. We stood there until his breathing steadied. Then I guided him to the couch, the same one he used to fall asleep on watching cartoons. He sat down heavy, like his strings had been cut. Grayson said I'm learning from the bottom up, Caleb said quietly. Morgan said it's just temporary. But Dad, it's only been 3 hours and it feels like forever. My jaw tightened. How long is this supposed to last? He said, 6 weeks. Then I'll get a real position. Caleb's voice was hollow. If I can prove myself? 6 weeks. I filed that number away. Listen to me, Caleb. I leaned forward, hands clasped between my knees. Can you hold on a little longer? Can you trust me? He looked up confused. What do you mean? Just trust me. Keep your head down. Do what he says. And in a few weeks, everything's going to change. Dad, what are you... Trust me. Something in my voice must have convinced him because he nodded slowly. The next morning, my phone rang at 7. Gerald. Jack, I did some preliminary digging on Ashford Development. You're going to want to hear this. I poured myself coffee phone pressed to my ear. I'm listening. The company's drowning in debt. Bad investments, over-leveraged properties, the works. If someone doesn't bail them out in the next 3 months, they're done. I stared out the kitchen window at the sunrise painting the sky orange and pink. Maria used to love sunrises. Done how? Bankrupt, liquidation, game over. A cold smile spread across my face. Then I guess someone should rescue them. Gerald spread the documents across the table at Mi Tierra Cafe, the smell of fresh tortillas and coffee filling the air around us. It was early morning, the restaurant just starting to fill with breakfast crowds. He'd chosen a corner booth, away from listening ears. Ashford Development is bleeding money, he said, tapping a spreadsheet. 12 million in debt. 2 failed projects in Houston and Dallas. The banks are circling and Grayson's got maybe 90 days before they call everything in. I studied the numbers. Gerald had been thorough property assessments, loan documents, vendor contracts. Everything laid bare. He lives like he's rich. Gerald continued sliding over another page. But the mansion's mortgaged to the hilt. The cars are leased. It's all smoke and mirrors, Jack. One strong wind and the whole thing collapses. How much would it take to buy him out? Gerald looked up sharply. You're talking about 7, maybe 8 million to acquire the majority stake and assume control. He paused. Jack, that's serious money. I have it. His eyes widened. You what? 35 years of living small, Gerald. I bought rental properties during the 2008 crash when everyone else was running scared. I invested in stocks when they were dirt cheap. I drove the same truck for 15 years. I met his eyes. I lived small, so Caleb could live big someday. That's your retirement, your entire life savings. Money grows back, dignity doesn't. Over the next 3 weeks, I watched my son endure hell while I built my war machine. Week 1. Caleb scrubbed toilets while Grayson inspected his work like a drill sergeant, making him start over for imaginary streaks. Week 2, he ate lunch alone in the break room until Thomas Reynolds, an older maintenance worker, sat down beside him. Don't let them break you, kid, Thomas had said. Caleb told me about it during one of our brief phone calls, his voice grateful for even that small kindness. Week 3, Grayson paraded him in front of potential clients. This is my son-in-law, he'd announced with a smirk, learning humility from the ground up. At home, Morgan fed him lies. Dad says you're doing well, just a few more weeks. And Caleb, my trusting boy, believed her. He told himself he could endure it. For her. For their future. It made my chest ache. While Caleb suffered, I moved. I liquidated properties, cashed in investments, met with bankers. Gerald created a shell company, Rio Grande Investment Group, and we recruited 3 business associates to serve as the public faces. James Porter, Benjamin Clark, and Anthony Lewis. Good men who owed me favors and asked no questions. Grayson can't know it's you, Gerald reminded me. Not until the papers are signed. He won't. Friday night of week 3, my phone rang. Caleb. His voice was strained. Dad, there's a big meeting Monday. Important clients from Dallas. Grayson wants me to serve coffee, like a waiter. My hand tightened around the phone. I could picture it, my son, in his suit, carrying a tray, while Grayson's client smirked. Another humiliation. Another test. You can do this, son. Just a little longer, I promise. After we hung up, I sat in the darkness of my kitchen for a long moment. Then I called Gerald. Send the offer, now. He needs to see an exit before Monday. Jack, are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. There was a pause on the other end. Then quietly, all right. I'll have it on his desk by morning. I hung up and stared at the photo of Maria on the mantel. 35 years of work. Every dollar I'd saved, every sacrifice I'd made. All of it about to be spent in one move. But if I could buy my son his dignity back, it would be worth every penny. Monday morning, 9 a.m. I stood in the Ashford Development Conference Room wearing a yellow janitor's uniform that Grayson had handed me an hour earlier. 6 businessmen from Dallas sat around the polished table, expensive suits, and confident smiles. I was holding a coffee pot, my hands shaking. Coffee, gentlemen. My voice came out smaller than I intended. One of them looked up at me, confused. Who's this? Grayson leaned back in his chair, that familiar smirk spreading across his face. Oh, that's my son-in-law. Teaching him the family business from the lowest foundation possible. He paused for effect. Builds character. The men chuckled. I felt my face burn. I moved around the table, pouring coffee. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. When I reached the 3rd man, the pot slipped. Coffee splashed across the table, soaking his papers. Jesus, the man yelped, jumping back. Grayson's face turned red. You can't even do this, right? He pointed at the floor. Get a towel. Clean it up. Now. I grabbed a towel from the service cart, got down on my knees. Again, like I'd done for 3 weeks, wiping up my own mistake while 6 strangers watched. See what I have to deal with, Grayson said to his clients, shaking his head. My daughter married a man with no backbone. The door opened. Morgan walked in. She'd been scheduled to join the meeting. She saw me on the floor, towel in hand, surrounded by laughing businessmen. Our eyes met. She looked away, not with sympathy, with embarrassment. She was ashamed of me. Something inside me snapped. I stood up, slowly. The towel fell from my hands. Say something, I said to her. My voice was quiet but steady. Caleb, don't make a scene. Say something. She glanced at her father, then back at me. Not here. I quit. The room went silent. Grayson's smirk vanished. What? I quit. Louder this time. I've had enough. I pulled off the yellow uniform shirt and dropped it on the floor. Underneath, I wore just a plain t-shirt. I walked toward the door. "Caleb, you can't just," Morgan started. "Watch me." I was halfway to my car when I heard heels clicking behind me. Morgan caught up, grabbing my arm. "Caleb, wait. You're embarrassing me." I turned to face her. "I'm embarrassing you. My father gave you an opportunity. You just threw it away. Your father was humiliating me. And you let him." Her expression hardened. "You're weak. You're just like your father. You'll never be more than working class." The words hung in the air between us. For 3 weeks, I'd told myself she loved me, that this was temporary, that we were building a future together. "You're right," I said quietly. "I'm just like my dad. His calloused hands have more integrity than your entire family in their designer suits." I got in my car and drove away. 10 minutes later, sitting in a parking lot somewhere, I called my father. My hands were still shaking. "Dad, I quit. I couldn't I couldn't take it anymore." "Come home, son. I'm sorry I failed." His voice was firm. "No, Caleb, you just won." I didn't understand what he meant, but something in his tone steadied me. I hung up and pressed my forehead against the steering wheel. Back at my house, I set down the phone and immediately dialed Gerald. "Change of plan. I want that offer on Grayson's desk today, and I want the meeting this week." "Jack, we're not ready." "Make us ready. It's time to end this." The FedEx envelope arrived at 4 p.m. marked urgent. Grayson tore it open at his desk, Douglas Fairfax and Lawrence Bennett, watching from across the mahogany surface. "Rio Grande Investment Group," Grayson read aloud. His eyes scanned the letterhead Austin address, professional formatting. The letter was direct intent to purchase 60% of Ashford Development Corporation for $8 million. Cash offer. 72-hour response deadline. Douglas leaned forward, reading over Grayson's shoulder. "They're legitimate. Austin-based, tech and real estate investors. I can verify them." "Who are they?" Grayson's voice was sharp. Lawrence cleared his throat. "Sir, with respect, we need this." Grayson's jaw tightened. "Explain." The accountant slid a spreadsheet across the desk. "We have $3 million due to the banks next month. Another $2 million in contractor liens. Payroll's already 2 weeks late. Without an injection of capital. I know the situation, Lawrence. Then you know we're out of options." Douglas's tone was careful. "If you don't take this offer, the bank forecloses. You lose everything. At least this way you keep 40% and the company survives." Grayson stood walking to the window overlooking downtown San Antonio. His father had started this company 40 years ago. He'd built it into something powerful. And now some faceless investors from Austin wanted to take it from him. His phone rang. Douglas picked it up, listened, then held it out. "It's them. Rio Grande." Grayson took the phone. "This is Ashford. Mr. Ashford Gerald Morrison with Rio Grande Investment Group." The voice was professional, cool. "I trust you received our offer." "I did. I need time to consider. We're prepared to move quickly, but we have other opportunities if you're not interested. Who's behind your group? I want names." "Confidential investors. Standard practice. You'll meet them if you accept the terms." A pause. 48 hours, Mr. Ashford. That's all you have. Your letter said 72. We're expediting. 48 hours or we move on." The door opened. Cecilia walked in designer dress and worried eyes. She must have heard from someone downstairs. "What's happening?" Grayson covered the phone. "Investment offer. They want to buy majority control." "How much?" $8 million. Her face showed relief, not concern. "Take it. I don't want to lose this house." Grayson looked at his wife, then at Douglas and Lawrence. Both men nodded. He uncovered the phone. "I want to meet them, in person." "And that can be arranged." "Thursday morning, 10 a.m., Hotel Emma private conference room." "We'll be there." The line went dead. Grayson set down the phone and sank into his chair, feeling suddenly older than his 52 years. Across town, Gerald Morrison hung up the phone and turned to the man sitting across from him at a small table. Jack Walker sat with his hands folded, his expression calm. "Done. Thursday morning you'll face him." Jack's voice was quiet. "Good, let's finish this." I stood in the adjoining room listening through the audio feed Gerald had set up. The blue button-down shirt I wore wasn't designer, but I felt more powerful than any suit in that room. Today wasn't about money. It was about truth. Through the speaker, I heard Grayson arrive at 10 sharp. Professional greetings, chair scraping, coffee being poured. "Gentlemen, I appreciate your interest in Ashford Development." Grayson's voice tried for confidence, but I heard the strain underneath. James Porter spoke first. "We've done extensive due diligence, Mr. Ashford. Your company has Significant challenges. Temporary setbacks. The fundamentals remain strong. Benjamin Clark's voice was flat. The fundamentals are $12 million in debt. 2 failed projects and contractor liens. I heard Douglas Fairfax Grayson's lawyer intervene. My client is aware of the situation. That's why we're here. Anthony Lewis laid out the terms. Our offer is $8 million for 60% ownership. You continue as a consultant. $80,000 annual salary. Consultant. Grayson's voice rose. That's my company. Gerald's voice cut through cold and professional. It was your company. If you don't sign today in 30 days, it'll be the bank's company. Silence. I imagined Grayson's face pride warring with desperation. We need a decision, Mr. Ashford, James said. We have other opportunities. Through the feed, I heard Grayson whisper to his lawyer. Douglas's response was quiet but clear. Take it. It's the best you'll get. Probably the only offer you'll get. More silence. Then Grayson, I want $10 million. $8.2 million. Final offer. The silence stretched. Then Lawrence Bennett, the accountant, whispered, Sir, please. Grayson's voice came out defeated. Fine. 8.2. Excellent, Gerald said. However, there's one detail my client wants to address personally. Client, I thought these three... We represent a primary investor, James said. He wants to meet you before signing. I heard Gerald stand. Footsteps. Then 3 sharp knocks on the connecting door. I opened it and stepped through. The room was exactly what I'd imagined, polished table leather chairs, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking San Antonio. 6 men in expensive suits turned to look at me, work boots, jeans, button-down shirt. I looked like I'd walked off a job site. I was exactly where I belonged. Grayson squinted at me. Do I know you? We met once, briefly, in your building 3 weeks ago. I watched recognition flicker across his face. You're Caleb's father. That's right. He laughed nervously. What is this, some kind of joke? Gerald stood beside me. No joke, Mr. Ashford. Allow me to introduce the primary investor of Rio Grande Investment Group, Jack Walker. Grayson's face went through a progression, confusion, disbelief, horror. No, this is insane. You're a construction worker. Owner, small company but profitable, 35 years of savings, smart investments, living small. I pulled out a chair and sat down. While you were leasing luxury cars and mortgaging mansions, I was building something real. Grayson turned to his lawyer. This can't be legal. Douglas reviewed the documents spread before him. It's completely legal, sir. I won't sell my company to him. Then don't, I said calmly. Walk away. In 30 days, lose everything. Your choice. Why, his voice cracked. Why are you doing this? I leaned forward, hands clasped on the table. 3 weeks ago, I walked into your building. I found my son with a business degree. My son I sacrificed everything to educate on his knees scrubbing your toilet. I was teaching him. You were breaking him. You called him worthless. You humiliated him in front of employees' clients, his own wife. My voice stayed level, but I felt the rage simmering underneath. You paraded him like a trained dog. You made him serve coffee in a janitor's uniform. He was too sensitive. No, you were too cruel. And now you're going to learn what it feels like to lose everything. Please, desperation leaked into his voice. This company is my life. My father built this. And you destroyed it, not me. Your greed, your arrogance, your cruelty, I just helped it along. What do you want from me? Sign the papers, walk away, and never speak to my son again. Gerald slid the contract across the table. Grayson stared at it like it might burn him. Oh, and one more thing, I said. Your daughter. She needs to file for divorce. Caleb deserves better. Grayson looked up, anger flashing. You can't. I can, and I will sign. His hand trembled as he picked up the pen. I watched him sign page after page, his signature getting shakier with each one. Douglas notarized. Gerald collected the documents. It was done. I'll sue, Grayson said, voice hollow. I'll fight this. Go ahead, Gerald replied. You'll lose, and waste what little money you have left. I stood to leave. At the door I paused. By the way, Caleb starts as CEO Monday morning. You'll report to him regarding your consultant duties, if you choose to stay. Grayson's head snapped up. You're serious? Completely. Clean out your office. My son's moving in. I walked out into the hallway. The door closed behind me. For the first time in 3 weeks, I let myself breathe. Gerald followed me out. Jack, that was justice, I said quietly. That was justice. He nodded. What now? I looked out the window at the city where I'd raised my son, where I'd built my business from nothing. where I'd just bought an $8 million company with the savings of a lifetime. Now I said, let's tell Caleb he has a company to run. When I got home Thursday afternoon, Caleb was on the couch staring at the television without really watching it. He'd been like that for 4 days, lost, directionless. His marriage was over. His job was over. He thought everything was over. Son, get dressed. We need to go somewhere. He looked up confused. Where? You'll see. In the truck heading downtown, he finally asked, Dad, where are we going? Ashford Development. What? No, I'm not going back there. You are, but not as a janitor. I told him everything. The investigation. Gerald. The phantom investors. The $8 million buyout. Thursday's meeting. Grayson signing with trembling hands. He went silent, staring out the window as San Antonio passed by. Finally, his voice cracked. Dad, you spent your entire life savings for me. Not for revenge, son, for justice. There's a difference. What happens now? I pulled into the Ashford parking lot and put the truck in park. Now you show them who you really are? Amanda looked up from the reception desk as we walked in. Her eyes went wide, then filled with tears. Amanda, this is your new CEO, Caleb Walker. She came around the desk and hugged him. I'm so glad. I'm so sorry I didn't. It's okay. None of this was your fault. We took the elevator to the executive floor. Grayson's office, Caleb's office, now had been cleared out. Empty desk, bare walls. Caleb walked to the window and looked out at the city. You ready? I asked. He nodded. The conference room was packed. 80 employees, anxious and uncertain. I stood at the front with Caleb beside me. This is Caleb Walker, your new CEO. Some of you know him. Some of you witnessed. Things that should never have happened. That ends today. I stepped back. Caleb stepped forward. 3 weeks ago, I was on my knees in this building scrubbing toilets. Some of you saw. Some of you looked away. I don't blame you. I understand fear. I felt it every day. His voice got stronger. But the fear ends now. This company will be different. You'll be treated with dignity. All of you, from maintenance to executive. He paused, looked at me, then back at them. My father taught me something. How you treat people when you have power shows who you really are. The man who ran this company before showed you cruelty. I'll show you respect. If you want to stay, you're welcome. If you want to leave, I understand. But if you stay, we'll build something better. Together. The applause started hesitant, then grew genuine. An older man approached Thomas Reynolds' maintenance. Mr. Walker, I was there. When your father-in-law... He stopped. I wanted to say something. I'm sorry I didn't. Caleb shook his hand. You're saying something now. That's what matters. Later alone in the office, Caleb sat at the desk. I don't know if I can do this. You already did the hard part. You survived. Now you just lead. I hugged him and left him there. Through the door window, I watched him open a desk drawer and pull out a photo, the two of us at his college graduation. He smiled. All right, Dad, let's build something. 6 months later, Ashford Development, renamed Walker and Associates Development, was turning a profit. But this isn't a story about bitter revenge. It's about rebuilding with dignity. Caleb transformed the company. Fair wages, respect at every level. Thomas Reynolds, the maintenance worker who'd shown him kindness, became a supervisor. The biggest change. 2 affordable housing projects on the west side, the same neighborhood where I'd raised him. Building homes for people, not just profit. His divorce from Morgan finalized quickly. The prenup protected him. She got nothing. She remarried fast, another wealthy man, older this time. Just another transaction. Caleb met Olivia Brooks at a construction site. She was the architect on our West Side project. Their first conversation was about building codes, not status. When she met me, she smiled. Caleb talks about you constantly. He says you're his hero. I'm just his dad? Later, she told him, he's not like them. He's real. They moved in together after 6 months. Serious. Built on truth, not performance. As for Grayson, he lost the mansion to foreclosure. Lives in a small apartment now. Cecilia divorced him. Morgan rarely calls. He lasted 2 weeks as a consultant, couldn't stomach taking orders from Caleb. Quit out of pride. Now he freelances, struggles to find work. His sister Charlotte called me once. Thank you. He destroyed me 2 years ago. I'm glad someone finally stopped him. I saw him at a grocery store, older, tired, alone. Our eyes met. I nodded. He looked away. I felt no satisfaction, just completion. I retired at 62. Still live in the same small house. Caleb visits. Every Sunday brings Olivia. I make breakfast. Some traditions are worth keeping. People ask if I regret spending $8.2 million. I don't. Money grows back. dignity doesn't. They ask if it was revenge. It wasn't. I didn't destroy Grayson, he destroyed himself. I just accelerated the process. Revenge is hurting someone back. Justice is restoring balance. Here's what I learned. Wealth isn't what you have. It's what you're willing to give up for the people you love. I think about Maria sometimes. Honey, if you're watching, our boy made it. He's happy, successful, and kind. We did good. Last Sunday over breakfast, Caleb set down his coffee. Dad, Olivia and I are engaged. I couldn't speak, just stood and hugged them both, tears running down my face. Olivia took my hands. We want you to walk me down the aisle. My father wasn't in my life. You're the father figure I always wanted. I looked at them planning a future together, laughing, genuinely happy. This is wealth. This is success. 5 years ago, a rich man taught me something. The tallest towers fall the hardest. But he taught my son something more important. Your value isn't determined by how others treat you. It's determined by how you treat yourself. Caleb could have stayed, could have endured, but he chose dignity, and that choice saved him. Looking back at this true story, I see my mistakes clearly now. I waited 3 weeks before acting. 3 weeks while my son suffered. Don't be like me, don't wait for proof. If you see someone you love being destroyed, trust your instincts. I also almost let anger guide me. I wanted revenge, not justice. The difference revenge would have made me just like Grayson. Justice restored what was broken. That's the lesson these grandpa stories should teach. Your response to cruelty defines you more than the cruelty itself. Here's what this true story taught me. Dignity isn't given by others, it's chosen by you. Caleb chose to walk away. That choice saved him. Money, I'd spend it again tomorrow. Because wealth isn't your bank account. It's Sunday mornings with people you love. Don't be like me and measure success by dollars. I worked 35 years chasing financial security. But God showed me the real treasure was always sitting at my breakfast table. These grandpa stories aren't just mine. They're yours too. Every parent protecting their child. Every worker standing up to a bully. Every person choosing dignity over comfort. This true story happened because I finally understood love isn't passive. It fights. It sacrifices. It transforms. If these grandpa stories meant something to you, I'd be grateful if you'd share them. Maybe someone you know is on their knees right now scrubbing someone else's toilet. Maybe they need to hear you deserve better. Walk away. Choose dignity. Comment below. What would you have done differently? Subscribe if you believe stories like these matter. Your dignity is all you really have. Protect it.